I need the adapter.
You have
Bring the adapter.
To mini USB.
You have adapter?
A Mac, yeah. A adapter for the
Adapter?
MacBook Pro.
Adapter?
Yeah.
Yeah, for mini USB.
Yeah. It's not in my bag.
We had one here.
I have one myself, but I don't know where it is. We'll see. Bring that away.
That's what I said earlier. I tell you the same. You will regret. No. Come back that way for it's free. Oh, that works.
Was it working there for a second?
Yes, it works.
Kind of popped up, but
No, but it was working.
yeah, kind of came off like a split second. Huh?
Maybe it shows a second monitor. Yeah. Maybe it shows it. Maybe you have just use it. Maybe you can move it on. Yeah.
Ah, right. Yeah. Ah, okay. Right. Then I'll make it bigger.
Just double click. When you double click on it, I think it makes it bigger.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm trying to pull the corner. I only did double tap the top as well.
I don't know, Straight there. Let's try again.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
If you press Apple Plus, it'll go larger.
Ah, that's what we meant. Okay. Yeah, it makes a bit of writing like really small.
No, but what I'm saying,
If you press
press this next. Usually. The other way is to go to sorry.
Can you clone the monitor? Or mirror?
yeah, the screen share directly from the screen instead of the
Yeah, just mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just maybe go just to setting in the screen share mode. You have screen share mode somewhere here.
You can change the resolution. I just got the thing up.
Ah.
Just go to display. Can't see where the fucking mouse is.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, here you
Settings.
Ah, perfect.
And then I can't. Is it scale? This one. No, I can't see what I'm doing.
You just click one of the ones to the left.
What? This one?
Oh, here it is. It's here.
Oh, here. Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Oh, right, scale.
Got you.
Maybe it's a bit too big. Oh, it's alright. Everyone.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Then how do I? I can't see the cursor anymore.
Just wiggle it around and it'll show up.
I saw it for a second. There we go. Okay.
The first one, eh?
Yeah,
Well, you should just click play in the. Okay.
right, yeah. Sure. Okay, right. So I've already talked about like a few of the subtopics in here at my own workshops, but I didn't know like what the kind of experience was in my room. So if I should cover some more like basic NFT recap for newcomers and then I can do that. Or if you guys have already been here for a few times, I can just jump to the more intermediate and advanced stuff. Because I'm just going to go through my own NFT checklist with you that I put every project through before I invest in it. And then as always, I just do a news recap, so weekly news recap, because I've been doing these every week. Marketplace analysis. If you guys are interested in how to make your own NFT, I cover NFT software tools, the future of NFTs, and then what I'm building now is a full stack NFT service. So, some of this stuff is a little bit old, but maybe you guys already saw the Irene DAO doing over 2,000 ETH per volume. Before this was over 4 ETH and a massive crash after that. You guys probably also knew about the Ghazali collection. Many influencers trying to get in on the hype, and the Nelk Boys sell out as well. They had a hack on their Discord server. So basically, there's a lot of security issues that I'm going to be covering in this talk as well. How you can protect yourself from getting your NFT stolen, how you can secure your crypto in general, and then again, like how to actually review a project comes in with the checklist. What's going on with the new market pullback? I also went into a lot of detail about what happened with Beanie Maxi. You guys maybe, does anyone know Beanie Maxi on Twitter as well? What happened with him?
No.
So I'll cover that again then. This guy on Twitter called Beanie Maxi. So he was basically anonymously pretending that he was an investor in numerous projects when he was actually the CEO basically. And it was just a big web of like multiple accounts and like a lot of fake influencing going on, like pumped up numbers, and really just a huge rug pull in many of these projects he was involved with. And he finally got exposed who the guy actually is, and it was pretty big on Twitter.
So there was a lot of scams happening. He always somehow was involved, and people
Yeah.
found him and doxed him.
Basically, yeah, Beanie Maxi had been in crypto for quite a while, and he was constantly kind of in the background, but really he was the one like pulling the strings. Basically, everyone kind of realized that, and then there was a big thread on NFT ethics about everything that he'd done, like a really big list of like all the proof, all the projects, all the like little specifics. If you guys follow the NFT page, NFT Ethics, that's actually a really good like investigative Twitter page that I actually look at quite a lot. Also, just going to be covering again more bug pulls, be very careful in the space. Some of this stuff is still pretty relevant, like the Azuki collection, Crypto Bats, Hate Crime, and since I could put this slide together, the Bored Ape Yacht Club got up to 120 ETH on the floor. It came down a little bit today. And Mutant Ape Yacht Club is nearly 30 ETH on the floor now. This is the last 7 days volume that was going on. So if anyone is invested in any of these, any current buzzing projects, I call, don't get too set on hitting a hard out home run. Usually I buy free NFTs when I'm doing any collection because you never want to be that person who's got one and when you feel like really attached to it, and that usually leads to people like perhaps holding on way longer than they should and not taking any profits because they feel like really connected to it when they only have one. So that's why, I'm not saying always buy 3, but usually that's like a good way to kind of separate you from being like overly like emotionally invested in NFT if you only have one of it. But yeah, it's just some basic stuff really. What is an NFT? A blockchain secured record of ownership. Digital rights management. So the reason why I'm really bullish on NFTs is because I see music and movies being completely changed by NFTs. Even as early as this year, I know that there was talks about a movie with Anthony Hopkinson being an NFT. I don't know if that's already come out, but I think that in this year there'll definitely be some moves. I don't know if there'll be like a major release this year, but it's certainly coming. If not this year, I think it's pretty likely to be coming next year. And then the other reason why I like NFTs a lot is income yielding assets. So you see like Neo Tokyo or Cybercons, Pegaxi, like crypto gaming NFTs, like these are really good income yielding assets. Like that's another like fundamental thing that I'm looking for in my NFT checklist. Membership, perks, and community. So that's what's driven the Bored Ape Yacht Club, is how strong their community is, how involved everyone is, how much they're all like so behind this project on Twitter, telling all their friends, the merchandise, also the IP. So by owning a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you own 1/10,000th of the intellectual property of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, meaning that you can do derivatives and you can even do your own content spun off from the Bored Ape that you own because you own the IP, like, of that ape, right? So that's also a huge driving factor of why the Bored Ape Yacht Club's been so successful.
IP recognized, where it's worldwide recognized now?
Well, it's like, I mean, you own, like, so the entire collection, they have the merchandise line, there's a lot of stuff that's in the project roadmap that still hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
They should be having a token coming out soon as well.
But IP is recognized worldwide? IP
Well, I mean, not like legally recognized in every country, but theoretically what's supposed to be happening is if you're one of the owners of a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you should be airdropped your percent of the company's income.
Yes, goes over the tokens and then they're doing airdrop.
Yeah, so the new token, when the new token comes out, then that's when all this is going to be more clear. But right now it should be out either this quarter or next quarter, like according to the roadmap. And then exclusivity. So, whether there's 10,000 items in the collection, 1,000, what it represents, all these things are obviously pretty important, deciding what to invest in. So yeah, that pretty much covers the slide. So,
Oh, and that's something new. They now allocating owner, like if you own an NFT, you own shareholder of a company actually.
yeah, so that's kind of how fractionalization can work.
Yeah, but it's official now in Miami. You own it.
Yeah. So there is legal recognition actually coming, but of course NFTs are still a very legal grey area in basically every country in the
it's
world.
out. It's out.
Yeah, in Wyoming, right?
Yeah, Ricardo LLC.
Yeah.
They did it there.
So this stuff will really like progress a lot this year. It's still very early in the legal process. Again, so NFT checklist, like anytime that I'm going to invest in either a mint or a currently existing NFT, I'm going to run through all of this stuff. So who is actually in the team? Are they doxed or not? There's a lot of anonymous projects, as you guys have probably already seen. I usually try to avoid going into anonymous team projects because, of course, the likelihood of a rug pull is a lot higher. That's like been pretty proven now. Like
So what increases the likelihood of a rug pull?
if the team is anonymous.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, and it's been proven. Like, if you look at the NFT ethics page that I mentioned before, they're basically like the Twitter detective of NFT collections at the moment. If they see anything that's been rug pulled, they usually put it. They get all the evidence, like the Beanie Maxi investigation that they did.
You just follow on BitCredit the death, the rug pull death. I mean, that's the same thing as shitcoin, you just follow them.
Well, I'm just saying, like, who's in the team is important for the checklist. I'm just saying, if you do invest in a project that has an anonymous team, you are like naturally taking more of a risk investing in it. I'm not saying that never invest because if you think everything else checks the boxes, but usually for me, I'm targeting doxed team members. So I see everyone, I can see their LinkedIn pages, or their Instagrams, or I can see who they actually are, what they've done in the space. Because really, NFTs of course involve a lot of trust, which is why I'd much rather invest in a team that has a track record than an anonymous team I don't know anything about at all, right? So that's why I put it on the list. The primary use cases, so at the moment kind of the main categories are pure art, so like profile photos only, utility, that can be income earning, it can be community. Gaming is basically a subsection of its own at this point as well. And then, of course, the price of NFT. So do I think that it's valued fairly right now? Is it already like too hyped? Or do I think that it's going to have a big pump? Are there other influencers coming in? Is the marketing team good? So when I say the price, look at the floor price and the variance within the collection as well. So if you see like in the board apes, the floor might be 100, but some of these board apes are going for 500, 600, some even over 1,000 each. So there's a very big variance in the collection as well, which is of course normal. If there's an NFT that's extremely rare within the collection, of course it's going to be worth like 10x or even more than the floor. Exclusivity, just the total number of assets in the collection, 10,000, 1,000, 2222, 4444, whatever like popular numbers people do now. And the subcategories, so you want to have a look at the NFT, how many traits does it have, is there a good setup for you to actually come in and snipe NFTs? So I'm going to get onto software later, but one of my main parts of my strategy is I want to identify value in a collection. So if I see a board ape that's a lot better than the floor, if it's got those traits that are a lot better than like a floor ape, then if it's underpriced, then that's a good opportunity. Because I've got a much higher chance of being able to flip it for a profit, or I can hold it, whatever the person wants to do with it. So I look at the white paper and the roadmaps. This is like early stage stuff. If I see a project minting, I'm going to look at the roadmap. I'm going to look at the team once again. And does the roadmap make sense? Because I know there are a lot of rug pulls in crypto at the moment. You guys have probably heard about many of them. But you can at least protect yourself a lot more if you actually do dig deeper. There's usually red flags. Like the anonymous team is like quite a big one, but other red flags just include like, overly using buzzwords, and kind of just, the whole roadmap kind of just seems like, way too implausible, the timings are off. There's just usually red flags, which is where I usually find out if it's going to be a future rug pull, is looking at the white paper and the roadmap. And a few times I've been able to save myself from getting rug pulled because I did this due diligence. A lot of projects that I've actually seen get rug pulled, I avoided them because of this. And then you want to look at the tokenomics. So if this is more for more like a coin. But if it's a coin and an NFT project, then tokenomics will tell you exactly what percentage the team are getting. It'll tell you how much the advisors are getting, how much is the community. So like any gaming coin particularly, I'll always look at the tokenomics because that will tell me like if their business model is sustainable. Like you see Pegaxi at the moment. I'm talking about Pegaxi as well later, but just in general, tokenomics will give you another indication that things might be sketchy because in rug pulls there's often like too much going to the team, or there's some other like strange things that are going on in the smart contract. I want to look at the marketing strategy in particular, like which influencers do they have good track records. Of course, there are a lot of influencers now that will just put their name on anything. So I want to see a marketing strategy that kind of makes more sense than just paying Kourtney Kardashian or someone to be the face of your NFT, because that just doesn't make sense.
So it's best with people who contribute actually.
Yeah, so I mean, like any good marketing strategy, influencer marketing is very important in NFTs, but doing it correctly is also very important. Like, I want to see influencers that make sense, you know? I want to see them with actual NFT history. I want to see them with not being involved in rug pulls. I want to see them actually believing in the project. You know, I can believe that they actually do have an interest in this project long term. They're not just getting paid for one tweet or one post or all of that rubbish. You want to look at the current sales numbers, of course, that goes along with trying to identify value. Current sales numbers are very important, of course, because that ties in with liquidity. You don't want to be overly invested in one particular collection and then find out that you can't sell it when you need liquidity, because that sucks, because usually you're going to have to be taking a discount from the floor if you do want to sell an NFT like that. So trading volume is always important for making money in NFTs. If you're flipping them particularly, of course, you want to actually know the liquidity of the NFT that you're buying. But then I still say that I am focusing on long-term result over short-term gains. I don't ever buy an NFT only to flip it. I have flipped many NFTs, but I don't buy them only to flip, because I think that it's a lot better if you like the art and you do believe that the collection could be a good long-term hold, as opposed to buying it just because you think that it will make you profit, you know, straight away.
Can I ask like an example, right?
Yeah.
I've had a few, you know, NFTs marketed to me. There was one recently, the son of a very famous musician, to say it was like one of the Beatles, right? And their son is doing a collection of instruments that he acquired from his father, right? And so you'll get like, I don't know, Gibson, like a limited edition Gibson guitar that his dad gave him, that he played in his like school band or whatever, and it's very nicely captured, like digital 3D thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's none of like most of those boxes are blank, right? There's no service endorsement around it other than it's coming from the, you know, official family member of of one of these Beatles or whatever, or a member of a band.
Needs to be authentic, like, there needs to be some kind of authentic certificate,
It's authentic, and it's the real deal, but what I mean is there's no tokenomics, there's no like necessarily market for it, like,
that's a lot, it's a lot more niche, like, I'm not really focusing on that kind of NFT, but like, if I was going to say to you, like, if it's an extremely kind of scarce, like,
it's one of one. There's only one.
Yeah.
So how would you value something like that?
It would need to go through a proper authentication process and then be acknowledged by OpenSea and all that. It would need to be authenticated, like, in person from like a representative of OpenSea. Like, those are the kinds of things that go to soft speed auction houses and stuff. You know, that's probably where they would sell it, actually not on OpenSea. Because these are one-of-one art, but they want to have like a real professional auction house, and like it's kind of a spectacle. You know,
but you're not. It gives you no right to play the guitar or touch the guitar. It's literally just a digital twin. A digital twin, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research on that particular.
Yeah, no, it's my background's in music, so that's why I came across it.
Yeah, when there are like very influential people involved, like in these projects, then there should be an authentication process to make sure that it's not a scam collection of all that. So yeah, it should be authenticated, and it will probably be sold at an actual auction house where you have to actually attend. It was that kind of high level. If they're expecting to sell it for like, they're trying to sell it for like multi-six figures, then they probably do it at an auction.
The floor price was like 1.5 feet or something.
How many? There's only one item. Like,
Probably they're doing a collection of like 6 or 7 items. So like.
But I think they didn't understand how to launch it.
Right.
Sometimes they don't understand how to launch it, and then they're just wasting their value, literally.
So you think it could be worth a lot more?
Yeah, because as I said, we need to go to a certain platform to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If it's going to be done at like an auction house where they have a history of selling like, very valuable artwork, then that's the kind of place you sell something like that exclusive usually. But again, if you were trying to do a collection like that on OpenSea, you still want at least proof in the marketing that it's legit. You'd want to see proof laid out on social media. As an example, like they could you know, have a video with the actual artist explaining it and all of that, like that would make sense. But I haven't really dove in that deep into those. So this is just an example of some of the top performing collections at the moment. These numbers have changed like a little bit since I put this slide. Of course, you guys probably know most of these collections already. CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Decentraland, Artbox Curated, Mutant Ape Yacht Club.
Mutant Ape Club, I saw it when they launched. It's like really, it's like a copy of Ape of the other one.
Yeah, well, Mutant Ape Yacht Club is tied in with the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Yeah, it is an official. Yeah. Mutant Ape Yacht Club. Even those mutant apes are getting up to the floor of 30 ETH now as well.
Did you check nouns? Noun, what the fuck?
Which one?
Noun, what the fuck? It's
No.
also NFT. So they have a DAO now, NFT DAO, and they're minting everyday NFT, and they're going out between 250 ETH per day, and the money goes into the treasury.
That's a look at
But
that.
the girl who promoted did Bored Ape design. Because she just get paid. She don't get any royalties from Bored Ape.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like to look at that collection. And you've got the Sandbox, of course, like Metaverse game, like Decentraland. Very interesting possibilities going on with Decentraland and Sandbox. You really see a lot of companies buying space. Like Adidas bought space, Snoop Dogg bought space in Sandbox. Variable, another pretty big marketplace. MeBits, this one in particular is what's been driving the LooksRare volume. MeBits is one of those collections that doesn't have any royalty fee at all, so that's why it's been so popular to watch. So you see a lot of people watch trading MeBits on LooksRare because there's a 0% royalty fee. Just some other highly notable ones like CloneX has done really well. Cybercoms is around 10 ETH. For VFriends, a pretty good collection, Dogecoin. Of course, like the success of VFriends relies on Gary Vaynerchuk's personal brand a lot. Of course, like he already had a very big following because he's been an investor for a long time. Yeah, so I mean, of course, like it would have been difficult for someone to come out of the blue and do like a VFriends project, but that project's been doing very well, and already, as Gary Vee has said, the royalties that he makes from that collection is actually a lot more than the original sales now, because it's been sold so many times. So what, like, because I think that the fee on that was like 7%. So once you've turned over enough times, your royalty fees really make up the bulk of the ongoing income.
So every time the NFT is sold, he gets like a kickback?
Yeah, that's where you set. Yeah, that's where you set the. Like you can set it in OpenSea, you can set it in LooksRare. That's just the percentage that everyone sees. But they know that if they ever sell it, that percent will get taken out and go back to the creator wallet.
10% maximum.
Yeah. Yeah, so people do anywhere between 0 and 10%. Yeah, like if they don't have any royalty at all, then they're like the MeBits firm, then it's really kind of designed for wash trading. Okay, so if anyone doesn't know, wash trading is when you just buy and sell between two wallets that you control. You just wallet one, sell to wallet two, sell it back, sell it back, sell it back. And they were backing up money on this because the LooksRare trading rewards were so high when the platform came out. I'll go into this later
Is that
as
what
well.
that guy did? The one who was doxed, that you were talking about on NFT Effect?
It wasn't really that much about the wash trading, it was more just like pure bug pulls and kind of just other really sketchy stuff. But I'll talk about wash trading again later in the presentation, there's no slide for that. But yeah, Beanie Maxi is a whole thread that you can read and like dig deep into that. So if any of you guys were interested, how to make your own NFT collection, of course you can either just use files, like pure files, like you just got photos, you can NFT all of that, or you can actually hire a designer and do handmade art, or you can just use a random generator and just generate 10,000 items like very easily. You select all the traits in Photoshop and multi-layer it, and then hit random generate. So it's very easy actually to just generate 10,000 items, but like you have to then tell the story of why someone should buy that. It has to have a narrative, right? It's not just going to sell out just based on the fact that it's completely generated by a computer. And then design the roadmap to outline the project and goals. If you're serious about doing NFT collection, you really do need a good roadmap, because I know a lot of degens will buy NFTs without looking into any of this stuff, but serious investors will want to see a roadmap, that want to see more of a long-term vision for the project that you're doing. So whatever your utility may be, it needs to have a good roadmap to make clear everything that you'll do. Like I said before, I think that a good team that's doxed and has a good track record definitely helps. Certainly helps when I'm buying anything. So the next point was assemble a team with an artist, marketing, visionary team, and strong use case. So whether you're designing a crypto game, or you're just doing a utility token, or it's asset backed. Like, I've had a lot of people ask me about how they can make an NFT out of jewelry, for example. A few people have now asked me, like, how do I turn my jewelry business and try drive sales of an NFT? It's definitely possible. It becomes essentially like an asset-backed token that you can redeem for something in the real world. That's one way you can do it. Like you see how Nike can actually like ship you a real pair of shoes, and you can also wear the shoes in the metaverse. All those kinds of potential. It's pretty cool that an NFT can deliver. Because again, going back to what an NFT is, it's really digital ownership. It represents whatever you want it to represent. It can be backed by something in the real world, or it can be completely virtual. All that it really represents is that you're the unique owner, verified by blockchain. Again, minting, hype, run-up. So if you're wanting to do like a big hype run-up and all that, then you want to have that team of influencers. You want to have like a good 1 month runway. I usually recommend. And then you can also just upload directly to OpenSea or another platform, like I said. Like Ghazali just uploaded all his photos. Just one day he decided to just upload all his photos, and then that sold like 400 ETH. So there is no exact way. There is no exact like this will definitely work exactly. You know.
How much you pay fee for? They have batch uploads, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you mint on Polygon, it's a lot cheaper. Yeah. But you can just upload directly to OpenSea, or you can do the whole. That's why most of the projects now are doing minting, because they can really make a lot of money on the front end. Although it works out well for them, it doesn't really work out well for the consumer, because everyone's taking all the risk at this point. You know? So that's why I am minting something. I'm going to be really careful and follow my NFT checklist that I said. So yeah, start listing on OpenSea or other marketplaces, build social media, team of influencers promoting. So if you're trying to go for a minting setup, you usually want to have about 10 times as many community members as how many items you're selling. That's what I usually say. So example, if someone's trying to do a 10,000 collection to sell up, then they should probably have at least 100,000 people in Twitter, Discord, Telegram. Those are the 3 main platforms for NFTs you're usually marketing on. Instagram is also good, but the other 3 are usually the main focus.
Yeah, I saw on Discord they're using bots blocking now those freeloader 40,000.
Well, yeah, minting is absolutely overdone by bots. Like everyone who tries to mint anything already knows that.
I mean, even a whitelist. I mean,
yeah,
they're botting the whitelist.
Yeah, like these bots can be very well designed and jump through numerous hoops. Like that were supposed to be set up to make sure that bots don't come in there. As you make the bar higher, the bots get smarter, and it's like an ongoing battle.
Like bots that scrape the database for the rarity.
They're just like they're bots that are set up to just try and front run people.
Yeah.
Like
you set up like a journey. You have to do this in order to do this, in order to do this. I literally can read it, and I can write a bot to overrun even capture IP, API. I have all automated. So I'm not doing it, but I know how it works.
Yeah, so that's the whole.
So if you're going in an auction for NFT, how do you, and you're not using bots, how do you ensure that you're getting a fair share?
Discord activity, so you need to participate in Discord somehow.
Usually, like what projects are doing now is they do try and have some kind of barrier, so they'll whitelist wallets. But again, it's possible to just come up with bots that can defeat that. But at least it's better than nothing. Is kind of
how does a bot get around whitelisting wallets?
I'm not a coding guy, but ask about if you know how to do it, then that's very valuable. Because these kinds of bots can sell to people for pretty expensive. But like if I'm looking to mint something, if I already know that I have a very small chance of getting it, I know that it's going to probably be more of a gas war to actually get the mint, then it's going to reduce the probability that I'm going to be actually getting into it. I would rather wait till the price drops later on OpenSea. Although of course completely miss out and it can go up like crazy, but I mean it's just risk and reward basically. But if the project is extremely hot and overhyped, then it's probably going to be a lot of competition with bots. So yeah, like you've got to get a pulse on the community and look at the conversations, real conversations going on in the Discord, real people that are clearly chatting, and then that's how you can get a real like number on how active the Discord is. Don't only look at the number of people in it, because all of that can be faked very easily. I spend time in these communities and I actually talk to people to make sure they're real people and have actual conversations with people and see why they're interested in this project, instead of just believing whatever numbers that are showing. So just some other stuff like changing music industry, like so Nas did his album royalties using Glue.io. This was a pretty cool development in the space last month. So Glue.io is kind of they're basically kind of paving the way for NFTs to be set up for these royalties, so that artists get more of a deserved cut instead of the label getting everything. So Nas's NFT drop did very well. It sold out in about 10 minutes, I think. There are different levels that you could get, like so you get higher and higher royalty percentage. Just a very cool showing that a top rapper is actually embracing NFTs.
Can you just explain a little bit about the structure of that?
Yeah, so what it represents, if you went ahead and bought one of Nas's NFTs that he put on his website, was that it's again kind of a fractionalization. So the idea is that you get a percentage of the royalties of the album. So there are different tiers. If you got like the lowest tier, you got something like 0.01%, and then the next tier, I don't know the exact percentages, but of course they were higher and higher. Of course, like Nas could disappear and it could be a rug pull, but I mean he's putting his reputation on the line here. Like he's a pretty respected rapper. He's already got a pretty big following. I don't think that it's going to be a rug pull. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like perfectly executed, because of course it's going to like have a little bit of a process to actually pay everyone like that. But it's definitely an interesting concept going forward. Wu-Tang Clan kind of like did this way back in 2015. Wu-Tang did a one-of-one album. It became famous from that pharmaceutical guy, that legal case.
He
So
should be in prison.
yeah.
Pharma Bro.
Yeah, so that guy owned the one-of-one Wu-Tang Clan album back in the day. He bought it for $2 million in 2015, and he sold it to the US government for $4 million as part of his debt that he owed to the government, as part of his settlement. So I don't know if he's in jail right now, but he definitely was at one point. I know he still is, but basically movies, real estate, all of this stuff is going to get impacted by NFTs.
Yeah.
Some of it already has. Some of this stuff is still very much in development. The whole movement to digital ownership, I think that the metaverse is amazing. Like the LAM and everything going on in Sandbox and Decentraland, you already see these big companies that are investing heavily into all this stuff. It's very game changing when it comes to having an immersive experience. When you put on the headset and you actually go into the virtual environment, you can do conferences, you can play with your friends, like online poker games. Like imagine when you put in your headset and you sit down at a poker table and you're playing poker with people in the metaverse. Like there's some awesome projects going on. It's pretty amazing, the immersion. If you've actually tried one of these headsets, the technology is still very, very new. It certainly hasn't been optimized, but it's pretty good if you really try the high-end stuff. Like Yes, and you've got some massive companies already in this, like I said, like you see Facebook now wanting to completely get into the metaverse as well. Apple actually like putting forward the whole, like their Apple Glass has been in development for so long, like kind of a, you know, kind of like an ongoing like meme. But now they're saying they really are gonna like, you know, get it rolled out and it's gonna like try and metaverse. Just don't get too sucked into the hype of all these projects. Like you want to make sure that they have the ability to execute.
Isn't it really important that the metaverses are interoperable as well?
That's like, when people say interoperability, at the moment it's like, yeah, like so if I'm buying these shoes, will they only work in one metaverse, will they work in many metaverses? That's still like an ongoing thing. At the moment, there's kind of a war going on between like, are you Decentraland, are you like Team Decentraland or Team Sandbox? Like, so those are the two that are like heavily leading the way at the moment in the metaverse space. And yeah, there's definitely some exclusivity, like what will work in certain ones. And you won't land in one or the other, or you can, I mean, of course you can buy it in both, but you know, when you buy it in Sandbox or you buy it in Decentraland. So interoperability is an interesting concept. There needs to be more collaborations going on to enable that. Kind of like how, you know, back in the day, like Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, like can you play between your friends on the other platforms? Something like that could be coming with some of these collections and some of these assets. What I also like a lot, like Gary Vee and Mark Cuban are two of the most famous investors right now in the space. Other industry leaders making massive deals, and helping mass adoption, mass awareness, and the crypto gaming movement as well, which I haven't really talked about much yet, is that crypto gaming is its own sector in this huge NFT space. So that's coming later. Okay, what kind of automated software you can use? Like I mentioned, IC tools. If you run an NFT through IC tools, it will quickly tell you based on their algorithm how valuable that particular item is in the collection. So like when I searched up Justin Bieber's Bored Ape, for example, it was actually a pretty normal, close to before Bored Ape. But he bought that for 5 times the floor price. I mean, it is Justin Bieber after all, he doesn't care about $1 million, but the fact that some very lucky Bored Ape owner got paid way more than they should have for that NFT was interesting, because he clearly didn't go on IC tools and check it.
What kind of metrics are IC tools using to value projects?
Yeah, so like when you run any NFT that's on the IC tool platform, there's about 1,000 collections on there at the moment. They look at all the traits and then they just assign a rating to each trait that it has. It will get like an addition to the value. So if you have a Bored Ape that has all the super exclusive traits like the laser eyes and like the diamond grill in the mouth, that's a really good one as well. If you put any NFT into IC tools, it will tell you their ranking in the collection straight away. For verified projects on the platform. So like I looked at his NFT and it was like literally number 9,700 something out of 10,000. So it really was like near the floor. Although, yeah, side note that came out later that it wasn't immediately obvious at the time, but the ape that he bought was number 3001, which was his birthday, so that kind of came out later. That's probably why he just like went and got it. But it was like a significant, overly valued NFT that he ended up buying, based on the fundamentals of how rare it was. But yeah, basically, IC Tools is just a really good introductory tool where you can just find out relative value of any NFT in the collection. But then, as you evolve in the space, of course, like if you were really serious, you would want all these bots to go after minting and bots that would automatically buy things that are being mispriced in OpenSea. And then what happened last month was that loophole, like coming back into visibility. So if you guys weren't seeing on Twitter, there were a lot of Bored Apes being sold for listed prices way back. in the early stage. Like, so some people are losing their Bored Apes for like 1 or 2 ETH that they listed like 7 months ago, and they were absolutely destroyed. So the actual reason for this was a loophole where back in the day, people obviously weren't taking the Bored Apes like as seriously as they would now. But what they were doing was, instead of cancelling the sale, they thought they could just transfer to another wallet and not have to pay gas fees. But then later, they ended up sending the NFT back from the new wallet to the old wallet. And what they did was just reactivate the listing from the past. And it was never actually shown on OpenSea publicly. But what people could do was look at the code in OpenSea and front run people and look at all these old listings and buy them. So there were many accounts that were just scooping up Bored Apes, people who knew how to do this. I don't know how complicated that was from like a software point of view, but some of these people made millions buying these Bored Apes and flipping them in minutes. Like that was like a really good example of this guy that came in and bought 3 Bored Apes, a doodle, and some other NFT, and he made $900,000 in 10 minutes. It was all like over Twitter, basically. Like
and the owners didn't even think that they were selling. They thought that was.
They were people who had listed months ago and completely forgot, and then did the mistake of sending it to save gas, send it back, reactivate. So in a way, it was completely like their fault. But at the same time, they did get like exploited by someone who knew this, and like whether that's it's kind of a grey area. Like, is that considered scamming? Is that considered like
I'd say yes.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah.
No, you don't think so? No.
I think that like legally, it's definitely not scamming, because what they did was buy it for what these people didn't cancel it for. Like at the end of the day, they were supposed to cancel their listing.
They want to say.
Yeah, and they were the ones who didn't cancel. If they had just cancelled it and paid the gas, it would never have happened.
Right.
The only reason why it ever happened was because they made a mistake. But then OpenSea is also to blame, because they should have definitely made this clear. And been like OpenSea's customer support like completely sucks. I just put that out there as well. But basically, yeah, it really wasn't good for OpenSea how they responded to all of this. People were just having an absolute field day, buying Bored Apes for these significantly lower prices that people have forgotten about, like I said. And then they even made it worse, because they put out an email to people where they said about the whole mistake, and they said that you should just cancel your listings, which is also not enough, because you have to actually again send the NFT out to another wallet and then cancel your listing. So they also forgot to add that important thing as well, which then led to another round of people realizing that they can front run people who cancel their listings and then buy it before they can even delist them again. So that was like a round 2 of...
What do you mean delist it again? So say you cancel the listing,
Yeah.
surely you own it and you can just move it to another wallet.
Yeah, but what happened was, if they listed it multiple times, then when they went back and cancelled one of their earliest listings, there could still be a bot that would buy for the next one in line before they could get rid of all of them.
Right.
So what they needed to do was actually send the NFT out again, like they'd done in the first place. But OpenSea's email didn't even address any of that. They only said delist. But if you'd only, if you'd only listed your NFT once, the email would have done the job, because you would have delisted it the only time it was listed. But if you had listed this NFT multiple times and you kept doing that thing where you wanted to not pay gas, then once you cancelled one listing, the next one in line would be the one that the bot could take off you before you can cancel it. So that was like the ongoing loophole, just getting completely destroyed over OpenSea. And apparently now they are going through the process of actually refunding people out of pocket who sold the NFTs well below floor price. But you would only have got paid floor price, which means if you did have a really good Bored Ape, you still got really screwed over, because you could have sold it for more than floor. But yeah, basically it's a big lesson in actually cancel your listings. Don't do the move to another wallet. Actually cancel your listings.
Isn't OpenSea a pretty
Satellite space.
Shitty site as well.
Yeah, like it's been down a lot. Their customer support is terrible.
Did you see the
One
one
time
city
they did
article?
insider trading.
Huh?
This insider trading.
Yeah, and that's what I was even. Yeah, there was also a case where someone who worked at OpenSea the whole time had been purposely promoting things on the front page that they'd already bought and then flipped because, of course, they handle the marketing and they can put their NFT on the front page of OpenSea, which is like obviously a shitload of value for an app. So yeah, that also happened. So really, we haven't had a good few months. This is all the while OpenSea is currently still trying to go for IPO in the US. Because right now Coinbase is the only crypto, the actual only crypto company that's listed in the US. There are definitely going to be more coming this year, but right now, this is definitely not a good look for OpenSea, in the run-up to going public. It's obviously a lot of distraction. Their customer service is really under the microscope, how badly they've handled everything. And also there's so many scam projects because they haven't been actually blue ticking things enough, properly. So that's also enabled lots of scam projects to come in and bug pull people and just basically a complete mess.
So one guy is cloning board apes and it's relisting it. So sometimes people buying the wrong board apes.
Yeah. And also that's the other issue is that really OpenSea is actually centralized. So what OpenSea can do is if you bought the wrong NFT and then OpenSea decides to pull down the collection, you lose everything. You weren't the one that was scamming anyone, but you still lose your NFT because they take down the entire collection. So OpenSea is still the gatekeeper, basically. What they can technically do.
OpenSea can take down the whole collection and then you don't.
Yeah, OpenSea can rug pull you as well, not only channels.
I reported one time one listing and they took it out.
Yeah, so as long as no one's bought it when it got taken down, then no one's affected. But if people have fallen for it, then they are essentially getting rug pulled because OpenSea has identified that it's a fake collection, or scamming someone,
You're using that
and they take it down. Yeah. So and they can also individually mark certain NFTs as well and show that they've been stolen or any of that. So really, they are actually a centralized platform.
Yeah, very much so. There was an article that was going around of an engineer who did his own NFT collection and made it such that depending on which browser you looked at it or something, it showed up as a completely different.
Oh yeah,
completely different. Moxie, I think was it. Sorry, different image, and then he had one that's set on a timer, and once it had been in a wallet for a certain amount of time, it turned to the shit emoji.
Yeah, you can program anything into a smart contract. Basically, you can make destructible NFTs, you can make them change, you can do royalties automatically to certain wallets.
I met a guy from Singapore. He worked for Tesla. Now he's launching his own NFT project, what shows you marketing stuff like advertising. So now he has deals with Sandbox, and then I put advertising in Sandbox.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the major pros of the metaverse is all the digital advertising you can easily do in your space. And that's why these big companies are coming in, because it's basically having a 24/7 digital billboard, as it were, massive potential for the whole marketing industry with Sandbox and Decentraland.
What would you advise? Sorry to keep interrupting you. What would you advise, if there was an artist, a music artist, let's say, who wanted to partially fund a project and give, maybe some equity away or some kind of redemption value in a series of NFTs, and they were relatively unknown, and say, how would you, structure or advise someone structuring something like that?
Yeah, it definitely helps having the following before the NFT, but if you're a very upcoming artist, then really I guess you should focus more on your community first before you try to launch an NFT. But if you did want to just do it anyway, you would also just want to use marketing strategies where you get influencers and all that other stuff. You would potentially collaborate with other artists. and just deliver something that's, you know, just the whole stack of value. Like you wanna show someone why they should invest and why they should buy the NFT. Same with any project really, like whether it's connected to the real world or not, like really what you're trying to present to an investor is why they should buy it. I kind of think, I think of NFTs more like a stock than anything else in crypto, usually. Because with all this fractionalization, that's kind of the way that some of these projects are heading. They are actually kind of acting like stocks. And they're also, well, it's kind of like an over-the-counter transaction because your NFT is completely unique and it's not as liquid as the stock market or the crypto market as well. So these are all things you've got to pay attention to. So I talked about IC tools already. There's other programs as well that are really good for identifying value. Like IC tools isn't the only one. They just do their own version of the algorithm that tells you what they think the NFT is worth. Basically, this slide was just about general portfolio management and trading strategies. So this is how you identify value. Is you can use IC tools to figure out if it's underpriced manually, or you can use software where bots will automatically buy it, or you can do the whole OpenSea loophole or whatever if you wanted to do something like that. Getting strong projects at mint. So as part of like the minting strategy, usually projects are around 0.08 to 0.1 ETH on mint. Some projects are trying to get like as high as 0.4 ETH on mint. Usually those kinds of projects are backed by like either a big company or they're like much lower, like they're much more scarce, like much lower item count. Basically, like this whole kind of concept of all the money coming in mint is a lot more risky for the consumer. Like I mentioned before, like basically the people buying at mint are taking the risk. But like I said, if you think that the project is still a good long-term hold, then it makes sense you can still mint it. You get in at the earliest price, and more often than not, it will still make money. Definitely not guaranteed, but more often than not, if all the other stuff from the checklist checks out, then more often than not, you can make profit on a mint if you've done the due diligence. And then I want to have my diversified portfolio across different sectors of NFTs and balance within the collection. So when I say, if I really like a certain collection, then I won't only buy the floor, I will also buy higher end items. The middle is actually the hardest to sell, so most risky is buying the middle. So usually what I do if I really like the project and the collection is if I'm going to go and buy like 6 NFTs, for example, maybe 3 of them will be floor and 3 of them will be like higher up ones. Depending on the price, like maybe if it's already a very expensive collection, maybe I only have one, like really upper class part of the collection. Because the floor is the easiest to sell, so it's the most liquid one. But if the project ends up doing extremely well, then of course the ones that you manage to get on the high end of the collection are a lot more valuable than the floor. Sometimes like 10x or more. Like you see that the top bored apes with the laser eyes and all of that are worth over 1,000 each sometimes. So that's over 10 times the floor price. So that's why I like to buy the floor and the top. But buying the middle is risky, so be careful. Like I usually say to people that they shouldn't be buying the middle because there's not really that much of a benefit to buying the middle, and it's the least liquid.
Sorry, you don't mind me asking questions. So bored apes is an interesting one for some of the reasons that you've already explained, like you have IP and you can create derivatives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But say like, and I'm not up in the space, so I can't give an example. But say there's another kind of cartoony, imagey, character-driven type collection that doesn't necessarily have those real-world economics around it, but it's just really values around the engagement of the community, and maybe there's celebrities attached to it, and people think the artwork's cool, but it's not like completely novel, it's not like the first to do it, like Bored Apes or whatever. Would you see as a lifespan of desirability for a collection like that?
Yeah, it's all about the community, really. Like, if they can constantly keep the community engaged, And like when you look at their Discord or their Telegram or wherever their main community is, like you just constantly see people actually engaged, talking about the project. And then of course like, having the roadmap keeps people, part of the process. Like it keeps them like actually excited for what's coming next. So like if you have a well-designed roadmap, then people know what to expect, and then as it comes out, you get more and more people like buying in as each rung is reached. Like Bored Apes was certainly not the first. I've only been around for 9 months, but what really drove the Bored Ape to be where it is now was celebrities. Basically, like they did essentially like a lot of people call it a Veblen good now, like a Veblen good. So in economics, a Veblen good is anything that as the price goes up, it actually becomes more desirable to buy it, which is obviously the exact opposite of usual economics. So obviously like a normal item, the higher the price, the lower the demand for it, generally. But these Bored Apes have become so exclusive now, and so many celebrities are part of this, that at this point, having a Bored Ape has really become a status symbol. You've got all these, you've got all of these celebrities that are in the community, and once they start doing more of these real life events, you could be going to an event, you see Justin Bieber, you see Jimmy Fallon, DJ Khaled, Gwyneth Paltrow, there's a shit ton of them that have really bought. There's a whole list you can see of all the like celebrities and Bored Apes.
200 nerds.
A lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see that tweet that went viral? We said like, if you ever have a bad day, just remember Justin Bieber bought his ape for 1.3 million because it was only worth 300,000.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying again. He doesn't really care about $1 million, but whoever sold the NFT did extremely well.
It's not even an ape. He bought like a teddy, like a 2-pack teddy.
He bought
So that was another NFT. He did actually buy a Bored Ape.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He bought Bored Ape number 3001 because it was his birthday, like the ID March 1st.
I thought it was something
So that's like why he bought it. And then he even did an Instagram post a couple days ago about the Bored Ape that got like millions of likes. So of course he has a platform to again push what he buys, and the floor went from 100 to like 120 in the next 2
maybe
days.
he don't even pay because he makes more money with selling Spotify listener because he bought it. So
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, he has such a big platform that he can just push anything he buys. Like, he's basically his own. Yeah, he's his own like marketing. He's push whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, but basically. I didn't actually explain this part. So when I've diversified my portfolio across different types of collections, what I mean is like, so maybe some of the stuff I buy is like purely art, so PFP, profile photo. Maybe I just like the art, maybe it's a talented artist, who did it, like that's kind of a more personal stuff, like, if you know someone personally that's an artist and we do an NFT collection, maybe you want to support your friend, or you just really like the artist's work or whatever, maybe that's part of your portfolio. But then another part of my portfolio is about utility, which is like cybercons and Doge Pound NFTs, just really like good marketing teams in those projects, and utility where there's like another token that you can earn. Like what's really driven the success of Neotopio NFT, if you guys know this one, is that they got Alex Becker and Elio Trades behind it. And then the NFT is really your gateway into earning bytes. And bytes is a completely separate token. So there's a really nice connection between NFT and the actual token, like an actual token as well. So you can get the best of both worlds by buying a income generating NFT. So even if your asset goes down in value, you can still have made your money back just off the crypto that you're receiving from owning them. Like you can, example with crypto gaming, like I own a lot of Axies. I rent them out to, I technically rent them to my scholars who play with them, and then they get paid, and I get paid in the SLP that comes back to my account. So by owning an Axie, I get to generate SLP. Same with Peg Axie now, is you buy Peg Axies, and scholars play with them, and they generate the in-game token of Peg Axie, which is VIS and PGX. So these are really cool like tokenomic systems that are going on with crypto games at the moment, and it could be really good for passive income generation. So like, I don't actually have to be the one playing the game, I just have my scholars play for me.
What kind of like yields can you generate? Like what's like a reasonable, you know, you're not like you are who's super up on the space. I just recognise that okay, this is a game that's got a bit of hype. You know, the same game items like from trend. What might it cost versus what you get back over an annualized?
So basically, at the moment, is taking Pegaxi, for example. I'm going to talk about Pegaxi in another slide, but the floor price of a Pega at the moment, that's like the in-game horse character. It's like basically like a virtual horse racing game around a track. I don't know if you guys heard of it at all, but basically the floor price of a Pega now is like $2,000. It's gone up since about $700 a month ago. So even the asset has gone up like 3x. But the tokens behind it have also been going up like 5-6x in the last month that I've been aware of Pegaxi. And basically, if you were going to buy into Pegaxi now, you're looking at $2,000 to buy one Pega, and then you can either rent it out on a profit sharing model, where your player gets like 5%, 10%, whatever percent you want. You can set it in multiples of 5, and you can just have people rent your skull like that, and the profit split is automatically done within the game. You don't actually have to go out and find scholars like Axie Infinity. That's another really cool thing about Pegaxi is how it really is more passive income generating, because once you've bought Pega, you can just list it and the platform does all the work for you.
So that, and then how much would that?
Yeah, so like right now, based on the current figures, is if you can make, like example, 50 VIS per day is kind of around what Pegas are getting right now, and the price of this token is 25 cents. So like potentially per Pega you can make like at least $12 a day.
Okay.
So like if you reduce the percentage for the player, or if you, because you can also, if you do the profit percentage, then you get this token, and if you do the renting out to the player, you get the PGX token. So you can decide two different routes, and it changes based on the token price, which is better. For most of the time I've been looking at it, it's been better to do the profit share for the VIS. But a lot of people have been saying that they think that the PGX token has more like sustainability in the price. So you can either go for like the instant profits now, or you can kind of think ahead and kind of stack the token for a later date when you think it will go up in value.
Can you switch?
Huh?
Can
Yeah, you can swap. Yeah, you can swap between the two. But when you rent your Pega out on the profit split, you get this, and when you do on the rental fee, you get PGX.
Do players get attached to a particular Pega? Like, are they all different?
Yeah. So Pegas are NFTs.
I want my lucky horse, and I want to use that one. And
Yeah. So you pick your Pega from the marketplace. It's got a bloodline. It's got like a look to the NFT. Just like Axie, when if you guys knew about Axie Infinity as well, every Axie is part of 9 main categories, and Axie is a card strategy game. So based on how good your Axie is, how good the cards are, you're more likely or not to win. So there's a lot more of a skill factor in Axie, but Pega is actually a lot more of a luck-based game, which kind of has given me a little bit of a concern how sustainable it is. But right now it's just absolutely on fire. So I've been hearing.
You can sell your.
Yeah, and you can also just sell the Pega at a time. Like that's how people have really made massive amounts of money in Pegaxi, is because even the price of the horses has gone like 3x in the last month.
Do you see it continuing to?
Well, that's kind of like just going back to basic concept, like don't invest anything, don't over-invest in them. But just for example, if you were going to buy like one horse, there's probably a pretty good chance that you'll be able to flip it for higher, yes. But again, it kind of goes back to the point where if you only own one of them, you're maybe going to get like emotionally attached to it, which is why I prefer to buy at least 3. Same with anything I'm buying, I usually prefer to buy at least 3 with NFTs, so that I can take my profits out. As soon as the floor goes up 3x, I can sell 1, and all my money's on the table, and I still own 2. That's the logic behind that decision. So if you went ahead and bought 3 Pegas, and then all of a sudden they're $6,000 each. Then sure, sell one, you've got two, your initial investment's completely off the table, and now you're completely on profits, right? So that's just a general investing concept where you want to get your profits. You want to get to your return on investment as fast as possible and remove your initial investment, and then you're completely, like they say, like with house money or whatever other metaphor people use. So that's what I was meaning with balancing it. This was just a rundown of the biggest NFT marketplaces right now. If you go on DApp Radar, you can just see the instant figures, whatever these are now. This was about a week ago. So when I put this slide together, LooksRare had done $4.72 billion, 3.86 of which in the last 7 days. So like you can look at the last 7 days, you can look at the lifetime, whatever. LooksRare basically has come out of nowhere in the last 22 days and just completely been destroying OpenSea's volume already, because a lot of it has been wash trading, as I talked about earlier. A lot of people use, yeah, on LooksRare. A lot of people have been using LooksRare just to wash trade because of the trading wars.
There's also a lot of uncertainty about the security behind OpenSea as well. So
a lot of people weren't happy with OpenSea and they've been moving to LooksRare. And LooksRare has already been growing rapidly on Twitter. They're 130k now on Twitter. This project has only existed for 22 days. It's pretty incredible what they've done so far.
How did they get such a massive volume in?
Yeah, so the reason, the best thing like about crypto is like what people kind of joke about a lot is that you can actually basically make money out of thin air, like the Federal Reserve. You can basically just make this huge airdrop that's just been, what LooksRare did was anyone who had spent at least 3 ETH on, if you're someone who spent at least 3 ETH on OpenSea and you know that you have, then you can go into LooksRare and claim your airdrop as well. But after you claim your airdrop, then you'll actually get the LooksRare token direct and ready to use on LooksRare. You'll already have it, and now you can swap it into WEF, you can swap it into whatever. I've got an actual inbuilt DEX now on LooksRare. So basically, how this marketing helped them to grow so fast, so quickly, was that they specifically targeted OpenSea's best customers, because everything is open on the blockchain. They take a snapshot and they can see everyone and how much they spend on OpenSea, and they already have this huge list of wallets that they've whitelisted to get an airdrop. And then the beautiful thing with the airdrop is that they can just release all of that value, and then just let the market do its thing. Like, and ever since LooksRare came out, it opened at about $2, and it went up to like $7 all-time high. It already like started climbing up, and people were like, wow, it's a pretty big airdrop. Like, even when it came out, the airdrop was worth about $300 at least. If you got an airdrop, it was, even at the initial value, about $300. So like a pretty decent sized airdrop that people were just basically getting given because of what they'd done on OpenSea. So this is like a very good customer acquisition strategy that's only possible with the blockchain. Like, that's pretty incredible how they've all of a sudden built a coin that now has a market cap in the hundreds of millions of dollars in 22 days. Because they directly were able to go and like capitalize on OpenSea's mistakes recently as well, but also just being able to identify their best customers. Just imagine if Amazon knew everything you'd ever ordered online, and then they knew exactly what you wanted to buy, and then they delivered it to your house in a box. They knew your address and everything. That's basically what this is. And imagine if it had their company label all over the box, and then that's how you found out about the project, right? Just imagine how much marketing money was saved by doing this. And airdrops are pretty incredible. They're probably like the most amazing thing about cryptocurrency is what you can do with airdrops. So that's what's allowed LooksRare to immediately be the highest marketplace by volume. And then you see in the last 7 days how it's just completely been destroying OpenSea here. But the biggest drawback right now is that they only do ETH. So what I'm waiting for before I completely leave OpenSea is also having Polygon. So once they have Polygon support too, is when I just completely stop using OpenSea. I really don't like them. I really don't like how they're just how they've been dropping the ball basically. So this is another breakdown of the biggest marketplaces. So you've got Magic Eden, if you like Solana, you've got Magic Eden.
Did you hear about the hack last night on Solana?
Yeah, so no blockchains, the blockchain itself has its potential exploits. So yeah, these kinds of things can happen, like wormholes and just things like this. Yeah, the information is still coming to light about how exactly the hack happened. Once that is all known, I'll definitely cover that in my next workshop. I don't know enough right now to really dive deep on how that happened. But what I heard so far was based on the liquidity pool. So there was some on the liquidity pool.
Yeah, Solana, wormhole.
Yeah. So what you've got to understand is that a lot of people get scared cryptocurrencies about how hackers and all this, but basically it's kind of on the hackers have created backdoor methods to extract value and rug pull. The blockchain itself is undefeated, the blockchain itself, you know?
It's sounded that smart contracts, it's just code you can
Yeah, basically.
it was like garbage.
I think it was the cross-chain bridge.
That was it. There was an exploit on the Solana bridge, which is how people bridge assets from Solana to ETH or Polygon or whatever else. Example with, because a lot of tokens, what they do is they raise money on the ETH network, and then they port their token to Polygon or Solana, and that's when you start using a bridge. And so once all the details come out about what actually happened with Solana, I'll talk about that for sure. But basically, just the blockchain itself is still on the technology of a blockchain is still undefeated. So just be very careful. I've got a whole other slide talking about NFT security. I still haven't gone through everything yet. I'll cover that soon. Axie Infinity Marketplace is actually the 4th highest volume NFT marketplace as well. Axie Infinity Marketplace has already done $3.94 billion all time, but significantly down in the last 7 days, as Axie Infinity was hit quite hard in the correction in the markets over the last 2 months. So then you've got Axie Infinity Marketplaces on Bonin blockchain, which is pretty good actually. The Bonin blockchain itself has huge potential beyond Axie Infinity the game. What I'm hoping for in the future, because I have a lot of Bond token, is that when new games want to use the Bonin sidechain, then when new games come out, I can benefit by holding Bonin still, because I'll be getting money for all the transaction fees. Just like any other gas token, all the holders can get a piece of the pie from staking or being in the liquidity pool. So that's why I'm still bullish on Bonin, even though I've lost some confidence in some of the other tokens with Axie Infinity. And you've got Mobox. So Mobox is the biggest on Binance Smart Chain, $530 million all time. So it's a lot smaller than these guys, but still pretty big. Octo Bay is the biggest on Flow. NBA Top Shot is also very big on the Flow network. Solana Art is Solana as well, of course. Variable is on ETH, and then FTX, PancakeSwap, Crypto.com, and other centralized exchanges also have their own NFT marketplaces now. And Coinbase is what everyone's waiting for in the US, particularly. Once Coinbase comes out of their NFT marketplace, that's going to be another big influx of capital coming into NFTs. So I'm definitely excited for that as well, even though I don't like Coinbase as a platform. But I do use Crypto.com, PancakeSwap, and FTX. So these are all also very good platforms that are also doing NFTs. So keep an eye on those as well. There's been some very, very good marketing being done by Crypto.com. I think that they're actually doing the best marketing of any project I've ever seen. They've already got massive deals going on. So Crypto.com is now, the Crypto.com arena is Staples Center now in LA.
Yeah.
And FTX arena is also the old American Airlines in Miami too. So these guys have done massive deals on stadiums So their names are going to be on these stadiums now for, I think, 10 years in Miami and 20 years in the Staples Center deal that they paid reportedly $700 million for the deal. And then Crypto.com also has their name everywhere, the UFC, Formula One, AFL. They are absolutely killing it on the marketing right now, which is another reason why I'm pretty bullish on the Crypto.com token as well. And I'm a pretty big fan of their Crypto.com card that you can actually use in the real world to spend your crypto, and it makes a lot of sense. This is really what crypto was designed to do. It was designed to enable, to really just enable transactions to be a lot better than what we have now, right? Like, not everyone has a local bank account in Indonesia. Some of you are probably still using maybe Revolut, or you're still using your foreign card and getting charged by your bank every single time you get the ATM and every single time you use it. This is really what Crypto.com cards and other payment cards are designed for, is letting you actually spend your crypto. So it's bringing crypto from the internet really into the real world, the real useful money.
And it gives cash back.
So that's pretty cool as well. And all the benefits as well that you get from having Crypto.com card. Okay, so I already talked about IC Tools. So IC Tools lets you keep track of all the trending, minting projects, and it has premium features as well. IC Tools was the fastest one to just go in and try and identify underpriced collections that are recognized by the platform. Nagsen.ai is another really good website as well that I think people should be aware of if they're also trying to hunt NFTs, because it's a good smart money tracker. So Nagsen.ai has pretty good software where you can actually identify where institutional money is going. And Verity Tools is kind of like IC Tools. You've got Verity Rankings Evaluation, you can snipe underrated items in the blue chips, and it's also got OpenSea integration. And then I use CoinGecko as well, just because the floor tracking is pretty good. You can actually see how the collection's been doing over time. And stats. So CoinGecko is actually pretty good for NFTs as well, just for data that you can get from CoinGecko. All the big collections have a floor tracker on CoinGecko. But they don't have an API though. So I just go on CoinGecko and just look at the floor tracker, but they don't have an API. So if you're a software guy, of course, you want to use APIs. Okay, so this was a slide where I actually talked about NFT security. Even though I've already spoken about it a few times, what I recommend to people is these critical points. So anyone who has a large amount of crypto and or high value NFTs should keep them in a ledger. This is like really important if you even have like any significant crypto, it should be on a ledger, like ideally. Always disconnect from sites after you use them. This includes any website at all. Whenever I'm finished with my MetaMask for the day, or not for the day, whenever I go off the website, you click in MetaMask, disconnect from all the websites. This is really useful for security. And then also I have a wallet that I only use for minting, because not only can these minting projects can have things in the code where they're actually just hijacking your MetaMask and can completely clear your wallet. So that's an extremely important one as well. I have also a public wallet for marketing your NFTs. So that anyone could look on OpenSea and look at what I have on my public wallet. So if you search Thomas Wolf on OpenSea, that's my public wallet, and you can just see whatever I have in there. But the reason why I do that is for marketing them. So like if I'm on Twitter and I want to like help sell my NFT, I can talk about it and I can talk about the utility of it. So that's another thing, is having a public wallet, having a minting wallet, having the Ledger wallet. So also be very careful of airdrops and allowing MetaMask access. So like anytime you click the button to allow MetaMask access, remember that you are opening the door to potentially getting scammed at any time when you do this. Of course, if you're on OpenSea and you make sure that it's OpenSea.io, of course, then you're going to be fine. But just any time you click that allow access button, make sure you're on the correct website. Sounds obvious, it is obvious, but like people forget and they get scammed all the time, just falling for like phishing websites. just like any website scam, always check the URL, make sure you're on the actual website before you allow MetaMask access, as these can clean your wallet from allowing access to trying to spot. That goes for airdrops as well. If you have been airdropped a token, like I've been airdropped a bunch of tokens that are scams, because what they do is they airdrop it to a bunch of wallets using Discourse app, and then people think, oh, I've been airdropped this wallet, let me swap it for money. But really, it's just all set up to scam your MetaMask wallet. So don't fall for that. As soon as I googled the name of the airdrop, it was immediately obvious this was a scam. There were any Google articles, YouTube articles. Whenever in doubt, Google it. Google the airdrop you've received. Look it up on YouTube. Most of the time, you'll be able to find out straight away if it's a scam or not. Not every airdrop is a scam, obviously, but a lot of them are. So that's another important note.
What do you do with those? What do you do with those?
Just don't do anything. Like if you receive these tokens in airdrops, then you want to Google the project, you want to Google the name of the coin to find out if it's a scam or not. And if it's a scam, just don't do anything with it. Just don't do anything. Don't try and swap it. You can't actually get rid of it. It's already in your wallet. You just don't do anything.
Because I once heard that Marin also speak that she just sends those tokens to another wallet. Like to kind of like not have them in her wallet even.
They can't do anything if you haven't allowed permission though. Like, I mean, if you interact with them in any way at all, you are putting your wallet at risk.
So even if you send them somewhere else.
Like potentially, yeah.
Kind
Like
of burn.
I haven't like had that happen to me, but I just wouldn't interact with the token at all. But I mean, if they do that and it works for them, then maybe that is okay. But I would just be aware of interacting with them at all.
How do you even see them? Because usually you only have tokens in your wallet, which you added.
I see them in Etherscan. Like, so when I look at my Etherscan and I click the down button, right, you can actually see every token. That's where you see everything you've ever been airdropped and everything that's ever happened in your wallet. But you won't see it in MetaMask until you add the custom token. So yeah, you might not see it on MetaMask, but it's still like lingering in your wallet, but you can't see it. But if you don't enable it to do anything, then it shouldn't be able to access your wallet or do anything. So, and then again, just due diligence, projects and investing, industrial level pump and dumps, running rapidly with anonymous teams currently. So what I was meaning with this point was, again on NFT Ethics, that Twitter page that I've talked about a few times now, they were basically showing a screenshot of 8 different projects that are currently like getting ready for minting. And they're basically 8 projects that are almost exactly the same. They're clearly run by the same people. They're just doing very like tiny differences. And they have a full team of marketing, influencers, everything. But these are basically like rings of scammers, I think. Like, we'll see what happens, but the 8 projects that they showed on the tweet today was definitely a lot of red flags going on with that. They were almost exactly the same. All the teams were anonymous. Like, just a much higher chance of being rug pulled, I think, if you're getting into a project like that. I'm not calling it a rug pull yet, but there's definitely some industrial level like scams going on with like $1 million marketing budgets that are doing this kind of rug pull. Have a whole team of influencers have Discord bots, all paid following, all of that stuff's going on. So yeah, then I already talked about the OpenSea loophole. So make sure you properly delist NFTs. Don't just transfer to another wallet. If you ever send back, you can backdoor buy your NFT at old prices. So that's exactly what I was saying before. If you make the mistake of transferring your wallet out and then transfer it back in again, your old listing suddenly come back to life, and people can come in and buy it at whatever your old price was. Looksmare actually notifies you when you do this. OpenSea never did. And they did a good timing tweet about it, of course. They capitalized on OpenSea's mistake, and they got more people coming in to Looksmare. So that was just a quick rundown on security. So one of the NFTs that I'm actually involved with a lot myself are the GameX cards. So this is an NFT that Gamester Guild does. So I'm actually part of Gamester Guild project, it's a crypto gaming guild, And so what our NFT does is they're like digital credit cards, and the NFT itself is a spinning 3D card. There will only ever be 200 black and 2,000 platinum cards that will ever be released. At the current time, you can buy them for around 0.35 ETH on the platinum card and 5 ETH on the black card. So the black card is pretty expensive, but there's a bunch of benefits that come with owning both these cards. So right now, example, staking pool. So we already did a staking pool where you get higher staking rewards if you have a platinum card or a black card. So just another really cool thing that projects can do is using an NFT again as what is effectively an access token and whitelisting people's wallets who hold the NFT so they get special access into something else, right? So what we did was we whitelisted everyone who owned the black card and the platinum card, and then when the staking pool came out, everyone that didn't have these cards could get the 50% APY, but if you got the platinum card, you're whitelisted to get 60% APY. And if you had the black card, you got 80% APY.
On the staking pool?
Yeah, so we have our own...
And what are people staking?
The GSG token.
Which is your token?
Yeah, so the project token is GSG, Gangster Guild, and by the power of NFTs, we get to set up something like this, where our NFT delivers all these benefits. And again, as I said, 60% APY for the platinum card, 80% for the black card.
And they're buying it with ETH?
Yeah, so currently the NFT is on OpenSea. Because it's a Polygon NFT, so you actually buy the NFT with Polygon ETH. So ETH also works on Polygon chain, of course. So if you don't already have ETH in your Polygon wallet, you actually do need to do a bridge, but it's still in ETH, it's still the value of ETH. And
is it P ETH or what's the ticker for that?
Huh?
Is it P ETH?
No, it's still just ETH, but you need to make the distinction that it's on the Polygon chain. So also there's a private VIP Telegram group with all of the currently 60 people. So now we have 60 people who actually bought that black card. 60 black card holders are all in our private VIP Telegram group. So that's one of my favorite Telegram groups now because everyone in it is obviously pretty serious about NFTs. They've already spent 5 ETH on our NFT. And they're also excited because we're going to be rolling out real world events later in the year. They've already gotten higher staking pool interest. And they also get early stage access to projects through our launchpad that's going to be coming out soon. That's the next part of the Gangster Guild roadmap, is that we will have a launchpad that we moderate and we incubate projects to come in and launch with us. And that means that we can do much better pricing early stage for people who are in that VIP group. And then again, metaverse and real life events coming. We will be having a space in the metaverse where we can hang out. We don't have it yet. It's in development.
Is the card an actual card or is it just an NFT?
No, so it's just the NFT itself is the digital spinning card.
Right.
You can see it if you just type in GameX cards on OpenSea, you'll see it. We don't have plans yet to bring it into the real world, but I've seen collections that actually have teamed up with a payment processor to actually deliver the card from the NFT world to real world. That has happened already. That could be later coming in where it does become a real card. But right now it's just a digital spinning card that just represents access to all of this. Access to seed deals and other venture opportunities. So, and with these APYs, I just have to say 90-day lock and 180-day maturity period. Previous pool base is this. So what I did was I have a black card. I put all of my GSG into the pool. It's 180-day lock, so 180 days is half a year. So that means that when I get it back out, I'll have made 40% on my GSG staking. And it's a single token, so you don't get impermanent loss either, which is, impermanent loss is obviously important if you do liquidity pool stuff. You'll already know what impermanent loss is. This is only, these are the single stake rates, so there's no impermanent loss on that.
That's great.
So pretty good APY on that one. That's the GameX cards. Our I've already talked about LooksRare a few times already, but another quick breakdown is we're now on day 23 of LooksRare's existence. It came out originally on January the 10th. So straight away, on day one, people started to find out about this airdrop. People were talking about it on Twitter the entire day. That's kind of how the project originally took off. And right now, there's over 20,000 holders, over 130K on Twitter following the page, over 19,000 watch listed on CMC, so current market cap when you click the watch list button. It's already listed on FTX, Gate, Huobi, and Bybit, so there's 4 pretty big centralized exchanges that it's already listed on. And now you can also swap it inside the actual marketplace as well. You can now swap LooksRare to WEF, so you can actually get in and out of your Ethereum, wrapped Ethereum into and out of LooksRare token. So right now LooksRare is trading at about $5 something. It got up to about $7 peak. I'm very bullish on LooksRare as a token. It has massive staking APY, trading rewards on the platform. There's only a 2% fee, OpenSeas is 2.5%. And some of the collections, as I said, no royalty. So like Meebits, that's why everyone's been watch trading them, is to get more of the Looks token. Because as long as the trading rewards that you get are more than the 2% fee, then watch trading became very profitable, and you saw these crazy prices where people were selling Meebits for like, I saw some sales for like 10,000 ETH or above. Basically, these are basically flash loans where people went and bought a shit ton of ETH and then did the wash trade and then paid the loan back. So this is what you can do with DeFi. You can buy like a ton of money and do a deal like this, flip it like really quick. Very risky, like risk disclosure on this, but if you do it correctly and you know what you're doing, then you could have made a really good profit wash trading these if you were doing it at the right times. It's very important what the price of LooksRare is at the time that you're doing the wash trade. So it's very important. You need to know what you're doing if you're going to try and pull off that. So you get trading rewards in WEF and Looks. It was a huge first 30 days, and the APY is still extremely high. When it was day one, the APY was about 1,300%. Right now it's about 500%. So it's still extremely high. We're on day 23 still, as I said. For the first 30 days, they're giving away a fixed amount of Looks tokens as trading rewards. And they've been hitting all-time high after all-time high because as the platform does more volume, everyone's getting a bigger and bigger piece. Well, for the first 30 days, it's a certain amount of LooksRare token, but the amount of WEF as well is increasing. So for the first 30 days, it's a fixed amount of Looks. But yeah, the WEF is just coming up with the volume, basically. So people have been making a lot of money already with LooksRare.
And sorry, they're getting the trading fees as
so what they call trading rewards.
For holding the token, right?
Well, so you can either stake the token and just get the interest of the staking, or you could do this whole wash trading thing that people have been doing a lot as well at the right prices. And then what they can do is just continue to wash trade and compound their investment. Just for wash trading different NFTs, the trading rewards are bigger than the fees, so they keep doing it and doing it and doing it. They actually increase their investment. But then there are much safer ways to just stake it, right? But yeah, a lot of people are making a lot of money in wash trading, just as a side note. It's not something I'm recommending to anyone unless they like really know what they're doing. Okay, so the next thing I was going to talk about was PayAxi. We already talked about that as well. Very high ROI exploding token. I'm not sure how sustainable it is at the moment. It's still very new, so I'll put it in the risky category. But basically, Pegasus went from $700 to $2,000 in the past month. Viz and PGX tokens, massive gains. But the problem is the game is basically fully luck-based, but much better tokenomics than the current state of SLP in Axie Infinity. So if you've been following Axie Infinity, if you've been following SLP, you'll see how much this is devalued because the token is just far too inflationary. There's way too much being minted, and not anywhere near enough being burned, which is where Pegaxi is actually doing a much better job, is their tokenomics are a lot better. So if you look at their graph, they show you the minted and the burned every day, and right now, it's just a lot better than SLP.
What's
So,
the ticket name for
yeah, please. PGX and VIS. So this is one of the tokens you can earn, and PGX is one of the other tokens you can earn.
Are you going to share this presentation?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So yeah, anyone who wants to watch this replay after I finish presenting it can see on my YouTube channel. The recording will be there. Yeah.
What's your YouTube?
So my YouTube is Thomas Wolf.
Thomas Wolf.
Yeah, TOMASSWOLF. So I have already talked about Pegaxi a few times on my YouTube channel. I'm doing a scholarship program now with Pegaxi. Although when I say scholarship program, it's pretty different with Pegaxi because the platform actually does the work for you, like I said before. With Axie Infinity, I had to actually go out and build a community and like find people in the Philippines to actually play for me. There is no inbuilt scholarship system on Axie Infinity. But with Pegaxi, the platform actually does everything for you. You can just rent your Pega. So it's actually a lot more of a passive investment than Axie Infinity is. So what I'm basically doing is get in, reach return on investment, get into profit, and then de-risk. So again, never invest what you are not willing to lose. But what my general strategy is, again, is I get in, I reach my initial investment, and then that's when I'm looking to de-risk, get my initial investment on the table, and then buy profits. So I have to just stress a few times just to be careful, of course. This is investing, you can lose money. The game is basically fully luck-based, which is kind of, I guess, it's kind of an issue. I mean, like, it's being pretty overlooked at the moment. But what I'm wondering is how sustainable this model will be. The game is still very new. It's basically existed for like 2 months. And January has been absolutely crazy with Pegaxi. Like, if you look at the market, how many more Pegas have been sold and how many more BIS tokens in circulation, all of that. Okay, so next slide was what are other big NFT use cases? What will the tech disrupt next? So these are just a few bullet points that I put down. So what I see NFTs, again with the whole digital ownership, which is what NFTs are really best for, is databases, crowdfunding, and real-world access. There's more, of course, as well, but to break down each of these, what I see in the future is, just imagine right now in the US, I was reading an article about how there's millions and millions of paper records literally stored underground in America. This is 2022 and there's still underground storage facilities of paper records. Like, this probably sounds like something that should have stopped like 20 years ago, but this is still going on, and what NFTs could do is be a blockchain certified database solution. Like, that's what I'm thinking is one of the biggest benefits of NFTs. So like health records, like imagine if your house, you didn't get given a lease anymore, you got transferred a token on the blockchain that showed that you own the house, you know? Just imagine the possibilities with that for real estate. It's a very good tool for crowdfunding. Like NFTs, in my opinion right now, are probably actually the very best way to crowdfund anything. Like, I know people have been using like GoFundMe and all of that for like various things, but NFTs are a properly decentralized, faster way of bringing real value, if the project is good, of course. Like, crowdfunding is like sped up massively with NFTs. And then real world access, so like I was saying, everything can become like, so there's going to be a few gated events like concerts and all that. Your ticket into the concert will be your NFT. So that's another thing that's certainly happening this year, already is happening, which will continue to grow.
Gambling.
Yep.
Gambling.
Yeah, like Yeah, another massive NFT use is gambling as well. I didn't even put that on here. That's a massive one. This is still related to NFTs. If you guys already know about ENS, ENS is basically the second coming of website flipping. So like a lot of people back in the early 2000s made a lot of money flipping website names. And ENS is basically the new version of website flipping. If you own an ENS name, like Tesla.eth, that's already like obviously reserved, but if you get a name that's like extremely valuable from a business point of view, then down the line you can sell it for many, many times more than you pay for it. This is an old example, but basically like how Crypto.com managed to buy that name was the guy that bought Crypto.com actually bought that domain back in 1993 and sold it to Crypto.com for $12 million. So that's an example of how people did this back in the 90s. But now, if you own an ENS name, it becomes like extremely valuable. Let's say if you pick an ENS name, like some rapper, but doesn't exist yet, but becomes famous like in the future, it's like you basically read the future and got in a name that ends up being like super valuable.
And
So this is kind of
these ENS names are like just regular domain names, or they're blockchain?
they're blockchain certified, because what people do, if you've ever seen someone with like a .eth on Twitter, like basically their wallet address, you can send money to them using their ENS name. That was the core thing that ENS developed.
On the blockchain, you change your my number address into a name number.
Yeah. So like if I want to send money, if I just want to tell someone to like send me money, I could just say send it to .eth, and then you don't have to worry about the 16 characters and all that. You just put in the .eth and ENS handles it.
That's what they.
Like reverse.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of fucked up too because you never can delete it. It's forever there.
Yeah, I'm just going to start registering all the
Yeah.
bored apes.
Yeah, so I mean like, obviously we don't know exactly what's going to become like super valuable in the future, but like some of these names can be like pretty incredible if you manage to get them early. Okay, and then the next final slide was about full stack NFT services. So far I've been involved with marketing NFT projects, and the Gamester Guild GameX cards is the main project that I work with at the moment. But what I'm building now is a full stack, which means creative and design, generation of NFTs. Anyone who has any ideas in their head, I can hop on a call with them and basically let them get all their ideas out. I can provide feedback and then guide them with what they should do with their collection if they only want advisory. Or I can just basically provide all of the stuff and take them from idea to sell out.
How much you want as advisory? You want to have shares or?
Well, it's basically negotiable with the project. I haven't put out a set fee for all of this stuff because it depends how much I'm actually going to end up doing as well. If they already have a lot of this stuff handled, then I'm not going to need to provide all of these things. But so far I've been on the marketing side mostly, but I do have contacts who can do the whole coding, front end, smart contracts. And then an influencer team is important, of course. If you don't already know influencers personally, if you don't already have the connections, then you're going to end up paying a lot more money to get access to those people. So what I've done is built a community of influencers that are in the NFT space already, who any projects that come to me, I can basically put the project out and see if any of them are genuinely interested in helping to market the project. And then you actually get influencers who really do care about your project, They're not only in it just to get paid. So having a good influencer team is actually pretty important. Paid ads are also important. Like right now, Facebook ads and Google ads, they're like two of the best ways to help sell out NFTs as well. So can handle that too, can handle community management. So I already built Discord servers personally and with my team as well. So building a community is of course very important. Like I said before, I think that any project.
Will you share this?
Yeah.
Not just the video, but we share that in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the
That'd
chat.
be awesome. It's really great. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Community management. Yeah, so if I say that I think that you should have a community that's like 5 times the size of the number of items you're selling, that means if you want to do a 10,000 sell, then you need to have a total community of like 50,000, for example. It's not like exact requirements, you can obviously try with less, but that's what I usually advise, is to get to that kind of level of community before you actually go for the mint. Because the mint is not the complete be-all end-all, but if you screw up on the mint and it looks bad, it definitely does hurt your project's chances, because it doesn't look good to not sell out in the current environment. A lot of projects sell out in minutes. So if your project only sells at 10%, then it's going to be hard to come back from there. So that's why I say you should have your community management completely ready to go. And then roadmap and investor relations. So this is really important too. If your project is also tied in with a token, you can launch it, you can use the launch pad, all this stuff as well. So roadmap and investor relations can handle all of that as well. So yeah. Basically, if anyone needs any of that stuff, they can reach out to me and I can help with each of those. And yeah, that was basically all the slides. I know I already answered a lot of questions, but if anyone had any other questions, you can do that now. Or from YouTube as well. Yeah, I think I pretty much said everything.
No, actually, I have a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I got confused. No, I have to ask you personally because I'm still at the beginning,
Yeah.
the learning phase. And so, basically, like, it's basic question about that. So, NFT, like, I can sell any type of form of art, right?
Yeah.
Even 3D art.
Well, basically, an NFT is really a file. Like, it could be any file you want. You can upload anything to OpenSea. Like, it
But
shows you the
I
file
have
types.
first to add it to blockchain.
Yeah.
Then I can
So that's minting, yeah.
Yeah.
So the process of taking your file onto the blockchain is minting. So if you go onto OpenSea and you click create at the top right corner, that's how you bring your file
on.
into the blockchain. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're linking a token to your file.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I have-
OpenSea is all done through your wallet. So I use MetaMask, but you can use other wallets as well. So what I do when I go on OpenSea.io, I connect my MetaMask, allow permission to OpenSea. Make sure, of course, again, you're on www.opensea.io. But yeah, that's how you allow permission, and then when you mint, you pay the gas fee, and that's how the whole blockchain sustains itself, is off gas fees.
So I can basically make money with anything, like picture
Yeah.
or
Any file you want, you can go into OpenSea, connect your wallet, and bring it out into OpenSea.
So
And if it's on ETH, you can also put it onto
is
Luxor as well.
3D open for this market?
Huh?
Is 3D art open for this market? 3D
Well,
art is like I can make this place in 3D.
people are doing all kinds of things. Yeah, if you have a 3D GIF, you can make that an NFT as well. You can make any file. Like, it's got a big list of files that we accept, up to 100 megabytes maximum file size. You can just upload whatever you want. Yeah. Like, I know that some of the stuff I talked about was kind of a bit more like deep, but yeah, just like any beginner questions as well was fine. Yeah. Was there any questions on YouTube? No. Yeah, I mean, I talked for like nearly 2 hours, I guess. I was kind of losing track of time. Yeah, that was like a pretty long presentation, of course, but I mean, I did answer some questions along the way. But if anyone did have anything else they wanted me to clarify or give my opinion about, if you guys are already in NFT projects, whatever, and you're wondering about what I think about whatever collection you're holding, then I can also just provide commentary.
Yeah, we have one, we're building one right now, so I contact you later.
Yeah? Yeah, so you were talking about the architecture of projects before, right?
Yeah, but there's another one, there came a new one. I'm kind of now team member. I think this is extremely big. So yeah, I wanna talk to you later.
Yeah, cool. Alright, sweet. Yeah, so yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you at least learned something along the way today. Yeah, and I host my weekly workshops usually at my office, but thanks for letting me get this slot today here. And yeah, maybe in the future I come back again and can host her again.
Anytime you want, just come.
Cheers. Yeah, this is a pretty nice venue. I used to actually come work from here back in the day when I lived in Canggu like 2 years ago, but I haven't actually come here to co-work for a while. But yeah, I really like the digital community spaces, of course, like Tropical Nomad.
Yeah, the owner is not here right now, but yeah, I'm gonna make a meeting. You can meet Ichi again because he always very supportive people. I mean, you're doing a great job, so he wants to support people. Like
Cool, thank you. Yeah, it's great meeting people that have good connections here in Bali as well. Like running a digital nomad space is a great way to meet some amazing entrepreneurs, creators, everything we've got here in Bali. So yeah, cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Cool.
Yeah, if you can share everybody asked for the
Yeah.
slide.
So who's running the WhatsApp